What's up, chat? When I got clean from fentanyl in 2023, I went psychotic. And I thought the angels were talking to me through the song. I still do. Fantasy. The big, big stage. I've conquered weed, bitch. Well, God did, because I suck at it. Look at me now. We're not making fires. We're putting them out. I'm on my way, baby. You almost see contentment. Heaven on earth has arrived. Dreams come true. Deja vu. Not some view. Be a fantasy. What's up, people? Oh, it's so good. Won Young, tell me! Yo, I saw these bitches in... not to call them bitches. I'm trying to be less profane. I saw these human angels. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I saw these human angels in concert. It brought tears to my eyes. As many do. As many things do. It's easy to make me cry. Tears of joy, tears of pain. I'm just a sensitive, intense little bitch. So, what's up, Lala? Kevin, welcome. Welcome, Action. Welcome. Hello, Ruby. Doge. I uploaded 2 new emojis. We've got a Cynthia emoji. For those who don't know, that's my new baby dwarf hamster who I'm obsessed with. I've been making some shorts and stuff with them in it, so you can check those out. Thank you so much. Dude, all right, so let's just get into it, people. Oh my God, I love I've so much. They're so good. I need a cigarette. Listen, we're working on it, okay? We're working on it. I need half as much caffeine now, though, since I'm not on weed. I'm sleeping. I'm dreaming. Like, I'm having sustained functioning for many hours a day. I'm not crashing out. Like, I feel like a lot of my emotional dysregulation, I don't know. Well, we'll see. It's been a week. I feel great. Hey, Randall, how's it going? There are lewds. Where is the link? That's a very romantic poem. I appreciate that. I dreamed DeSantis tried to seduce me 2 nights ago. Interesting. But yeah, so I finally, when I got my wisdom teeth out, and this is unfortunate, I pray to God for this. I'm like, God, you know, I'm an idiot, dude. Like, I need extra, you know, like I fuck it up. Like, I forget where I was going with that. Fuck, I was like on the cusp of saying something important. Oh, I was just like, a prayer. Sometimes the only language I speak, do you want to know the language I speak? Pain. The language of sustained pain. The language of sustained nonsensical suffering. That's the language that hits, unfortunately. So anyway, so the way things worked out, it just was amazing that I got my wisdom teeth out. And I just went and I stayed at my mom's for a couple of days. I didn't smoke cigarettes because I didn't want to get dry socket. And that got me over the hump of like those first 2 nights not smoking weed. Because that's always the hard part. I get so used to it, using it to wind down every day, using it, reaching for stress. Even still, I feel like I'm missing something. But that's how I felt when I got off fentanyl. I missed so much the action of snorting drugs that I literally snorted baby powder. Like, and I used to do so much about it. I would have to clear my nose out with like a thing. What's up, Doug? Kevin, gamer. So anyway, that got me over, through the first couple of days, and I was like, especially I'm going to be moving in like a month. The place is a wreck. Like there's, and I have to be working and I want to keep up with streaming, even though I'm working more hours at the bookstore. Like, and all of a sudden I can do these things. I'm saving money. My brain is working again. My anxiety is so much less. I would get like, all I would want to do is just hide away. Like I'd go to work, do the bare minimum, and then I'd just want to like smoke weed and I just want to shut down, and it's a credit like to prayer, and specifically like praying to Mary of Magdalene, St. Mary of Egypt. I've mentioned them before, and asking for their intercession. As a skeptic, people, I know, like, I sound crazy and I just don't care anymore. I mean, I've been sounding crazy for a long time, so I don't, whatever, it's on brand. But, like, I don't know. I just was such an atheist and skeptic for so long. I know how I look at someone talking the way that I talk, and I remember writing in my diary, my ex, the one who introduced me to fentanyl, and after I'd been 8 years clean, like a year into the pandemic or so, he got clean before me, and he came out, and it was like night and day. It's so hard to even comprehend how someone can go from being so sick, the sickest person I know, shooting up, can't find a vein. He had sucked dick for drugs. Even I haven't done that. Like he'd been believing like everything that could be wrong with a person was wrong with this man. And I remember I was like been going through old diaries and stuff, and there's one where I'm like, he came out, I'm freaked out, his eyes are glowing, and that's something that always freaked me out. I was like, why are all these Christians, they're fucking crazy glowing eyes, Anyway, these are like tears of happiness and just like really understanding, on like a more profound level, certain things. So it's heavy as fuck. And yeah, I'm even more teary, easy to cry, but I've just been so happy that it seems like it's not right, it's just ridiculous. Jesus I pray directly to Jesus, and I actually today I was praying to Jesus too, because I'm new to taking God this seriously, or the Bible this seriously. I've been on this path for a while, but there was many twists and turns and like false lights and things that I followed that were incorrect, and that's why I need to be like very clear-minded. But yeah, it's like my ex, who in 30 days he went and he came out and he was a different person, and he just wanted to like help me and clean my apartment, and I knew it really fucked with him that he got me on it. I know that weighed heavily on him, because his relapse was a couple months and mine was like 3 years, and it almost killed me. Anyway, it's just heavy stuff, and like it's just stuff I have to deal with. So that's why I'm going to be going back to AA, which I've been in and out of the program since I was like a child, because my family was in it. This is all I know, people. Attitude of gratitude. I'm just filled with so much gratitude. It seems like I don't know. This is weird. It's like freaking me out, and I don't want to go like psychotic, because like I don't know. I was watching a video last night of this drug addict who got saved and got clean, and he's like very passionate. He literally just films himself like yelling, "Jesus, I love," like he just like insane levels of passion. And I was watching his story, and so much of what he was saying sounded like what I experienced during like my psychotic break, of like, I don't know, following something wrong, and what I was following at that time was telling me to do things that weren't good, And that only, that's only happened to me once. That was 3 years ago now. So this all freaks me out, okay? It freaks me out. It's just intense. You deserve the same love and respect as ever to be your special person. You're like, I mean, I've always had so much love and support in my life, and that too, I just hurt people so much. And I've been going down on methadone. I'm getting lower and lower in my dose. And in the video I was watching of the guy, he was talking about how, he ended up relapsing because he quit 140 milligrams of methadone, cold turkey, relapsed, went psychotic, literally went so psychotic that a demon was telling him to fill up a syringe with semen, shit, piss, spit, and inject it into himself. Like, this is sick shit, people. It's really sick. I don't know. It's just freaky to be like, okay, so this is all real. And I've been trying to process that and figure out what I believe, because it's just been, obviously a big change in my life from being like an atheist, militant atheist from the time I was 11 up until I had an undeniable direct experience, Anyway, so that's why I'm going to go back to AA, because another thing is I was obviously I've demoted the channel to my lucrative fun hobby, because I can't, it's not healthy for me to be too invested in this, and I really let it bring out the worst in me, it's just a lot to process. But just the difference of 1 week, because I haven't done that in so long, because I was I made a mental note, okay, I can, while I'm tapering off methadone, that's a freebie. I'll use as much weed as I want. But the thing is, it's not regular weed, people. I was buying vape carts from the head shops. And it's just so easy to it seems so benign. And I would have such a tolerance. I barely felt anything from it, But I did feel this more baseline of anxiety, more reactiveness, more impatience, and all of these things that have just been lifted from me. And it's just really freaking me out, dude. And I don't know. Very young is crazy. Yeah, I've already had a dream where no, dude. Yeah, I've had some crazy dreams. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. I did not think that I'm trying to be more triumphant. This is triumphant. These are the tears of happiness, but just really feeling the heaviness. I just need a tissue. Yeah, so anyway, it's just a heavy topic. It's fucking crazy. And then on top of it, just does feel like the end times. When's the last time you were completely sober? It's been a long time. I would go a day or two here and there without smoking, but that hasn't, it's been it's been every day, it's weird how powerful dreams off weed. I wonder why. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of interesting theories. I'm a fan of Carl Jung, and I used to get night terrors really badly, so I didn't mind it, but it's just really confusing to start believing in things that seem impossible, because it's really easy to go down a route of something wrong. So I'm just constantly checking in and making sure that, what I'm feeling is in line with Jesus's teachings and never about harming anyone, never about harming myself, I just think that's been important. So it's I don't think I'm going psychotic, actually. if I had to guess, I'm guessing I'm not psychotic, but that's always been on the table. You know, I don't fucking know. I wouldn't know. That's the thing about it. Like when you're in it, it's different. Anyway, so it's just been crazy. And I also saw one of the really cool women that I met at that Orthodox church is in the Discord now, and she was really sweet. And yeah, I wasn't investing enough in my life, and now getting off of weed is just like all of a sudden I feel just so much more capable and happy, and like I just have, I don't know, it's so like it kind of feels like I'm on a new drug. The new drug is God and reality, and it's trippy. It's trippy, but like I really do feel peace and like this strong connection when I pray, like a fire inside of me, you know. And like when I read the Bible, it feels like my eyes are on fire sometimes. Not like literally, but like, you know. So I've just been kind of like following that, you know, you're meeting yourself again after many years. Yeah, and it's, thank God this is a taper process, because it's allowed me to just kind of like gradually come back, you know, to reality. Yeah, what are the alt people? Dude, at the Orthodox church I went to, afterwards, we went and I hung around for like the coffee social thing, and there was like 8 like goths there. So it was like being at lunch, and like the table was ready for me. Like in like middle school, I was like, oh my, they're here. The alts are here. So the fact that one of the alts is like in watching the channel and a fan of it, because, you know, sometimes I worry about what I'm doing online. Like if it's wrong, if I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, I even worry about what I watch, dude. It's getting crazy. Sponge says THC suppresses REM state, sleep, so you dream less. Once you quit, there's a rebound where your body rebounds itself. Yeah. It's just crazy. You seem calm and well-spoken, not psychotic. Yeah, and also, I mean, my friends and family, I'm employed, like everything is going, all signs are good. It's all green flags. My family are, they're fucking thrilled, you know? It's just all that fucking time I wasted. But then again, it's like, you know, I would smoke weed and just like sit and read the Bible for hours. So it's like, you know, this has just been my process, and I have no judgment for anyone. Like I'm still tapering off my medicine. I've been going down on gabapentin as well now. And, you know, it's a relief, because it's scary when you get more clean and you're not sure what's gonna be there, you know, what you're gonna be like, because there's a reason people do that in the first place. And I even like today I was like praying, I was like, God, I want to do something good for you, like, you know, anything. And like when I went to Dunkin', there was just like this little lady, she was like, can you walk me across the street? And I was like, okay, you know, and I like walked her across the street, and then she was like, can you buy me a scone? And I was like, sure. And then like the barista was like, you know, it's free, you know, you guys can just have it. And there's just, I just see so much, I'm having just so many really beautiful interactions. But on the flip side, I'm just seeing like it really does seem like people are clustering at the ends of good and evil in like a really profound way, and it's scary. Even Tucker Carlson is calling Trump the Antichrist. Like, yeah, and like, oh, I'm like, me and Cam Dog are sitting watching like Tucker Carlson, liking it. We're like, what is going on? Who am I? It's a trip, but I'm completely dedicated, because as I think it's Carl Jung who said, it was Carl Jung or Kierkegaard, I forget, one of them. It was like, the greatest honor of your life is to become who you truly are. That is like your one mission, you know? So I'm just really trying to hone in on who I was supposed to be, you know, or who I'm supposed to be now, and just behaving and being good. Hey, Tony, how's it going? Kevin says, I started smoking weed, started having sex with a white chick like a Mexican. Be patient. GP doesn't really create psychosomatic healing. It's supposed to be harder. GP. I don't know what GP is. GP. But I just feel better than I felt in years. And it's, there's still, you know, I had been researching like quitting weed for a while. And I remember I did a stream. I think some of you were there. It was like, because this is my process when I've had many addictions come and go, and I've been doing this for a long time. And it always, like, there's a point in my addiction where I know I need to stop, but I don't want to, you know? And that's a really hard place to be, because you have to want it. It's really hard to do, so you have to really want to do it. Otherwise, you're going to give up. I had weed for the first time when I was 12. You know, I've been... I don't know, dude. You agree with Tucker Carlson? Fun fact, it usually happens when you actually listen to what he has to say. I mean, he said, I've never been a fan, you know, he was full throttle, like, supporting Trump, and I didn't like what he said then, but I was really moved by him calling out Trump about his Easter tweet, which was disgusting. Like, it's disgusting. And it's surreal. It's very surreal. Yeah, I think it's young. I think it's Carl. Y'all know I love a good quote. I'm about that life. I don't give a fuck. Thank you. I'm finally skinny enough to wear this again, because I haven't been able to eat like any solid food. And I'd like, you know, done my fast. That's another thing that really helped me, is I did a 3-day fast like a couple weeks ago. And I think it's really important on a physical and spiritual level to do that periodically. There's just like insane health benefits. You know, so I'm just being like much more capable to just be a better person in the world. It makes me realize, like, you know, I've been reducing my capacity, and I've been, I don't know, but, you know, 12 is unfortunate. Weed for a developing mind is really bad. Yeah. Quitting weed is a big move. It's far more destructive than many care to admit. Yeah, and I'm one of those people. And on some level, I want to differentiate, like, the weed of the 70s is not what we're doing now. It is vastly different. The THC is times like 20, and then God knows what the fuck else they're doing in all these unregulated vape carts, you know? You still seem depressed, nice, strong, pacing around your health. That's crazy. I just feel like the peace of God in me, you know? And it's been very profound, you know? But I'm a very like active person. I do drink a lot of caffeine, and I like walking around, and yeah, I'm eccentric or something. I don't know. You clocked it. I don't know what to say, brah. But I'm not, I promise you, I've never been less depressed in my life. So it's just really miraculous to like be feeling this good this early on, and a change. And so it's given me a lot of hope, and it's been very inspiring for me. So yeah, I wanted to do a stream just kind of doing a check-in, and also to spread the good word about quitting weed, because it seems benign, but this has been life-changing for me this week, like absolutely life-changing. So, and I don't know, it's hard, you know, to think of a life like never ever doing anything again, or never like socially drinking or something, but I don't have to figure all of that out right now, you know. All I know for sure is that right now it's absolutely the right move. Like, you know, my main goal is like definitely not until I'm fully moved. I have too much to do. Pavilion says, best I've ever seen you, Ruby. Well done. You look and sound healthy. Thank you. It's just, yeah. Sorry, I just zoomed in on my screen. Like, oh my God. I'm just going to reload this one. Anyway. So yeah, I had a lovely day yesterday going and getting going to the pet store and getting some things. And the other thing is like I've been alienating like a lot of my friends for a long time. I don't answer their calls, you know? And I just feel like I've let a lot of people down. Dude, it turns out you can just pay $5 and just go play with the puppies, and they like donate it to charity, and they encourage people to do that. So I'm going back there, but that's also dangerous. That's dangerous. Hey, Fanushka, Ruby, it's been a while. I'm so happy for you. Happy Easter. Celebrate next weekend. You're influencing me to quit weed also. I mean, that's, you know, always I've wanted to connect with other addicts and make people feel less alone, or show people how bad it can be. I don't know. I've just always felt compelled to do that, and it means the world to me to I don't know, having an impact positively on even one person, because I just want to be better. And like, gosh, I just have to be really careful. Even with like watching content, like I've been back, you know, covering Keemstar a little bit and watching the content, you know, because I'm trying to be very careful about my words, even my thoughts. Like, I've been watching a lot of near-death experience videos, and there's like this common theme of people talking about like how it's like there's demons are just literally feeding on your thoughts and your hate. And like when you're thinking about anything like that, like, and there's a way to avoid it. You have to be very strict about who you're interacting with, what you're consuming. You can't let the internet or like your timeline take control, because it'll bring you to a dark place. It really will. And you'll become desensitized and poisoned from the inside out. Yeah. But I've especially, I haven't, because I don't know which, like, obviously I follow Jesus. I love the Bible. That's what I feel so connected to. And I feel incredibly connected to the saints as well. That's been another game changer for me. But you know, I was raised like Methodist, like very early on. So it was always, to me, like people viewed any kind of like prayer towards Saint or Mary as like idolatry of a kind. And since I'm so scared of like following the wrong thing, but it's like praying to Mary to help me. It has helped me. I keep testing it and it just works, and it's fucking weird, you know? Like when I am craving weed, or if I'm filled with like some sick something, you know, it's just, I don't know. The patron saint of, I mean, she's the holy blessed mother of God. Demons are walking among us. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about that too, in terms of like, we can talk about these things through the frame of psychology, through the frame of spirituality. A lot of times we're using words that are describing the same thing from different perspectives. So like you could say, someone who has fully succumbed to demonic oppression, that's like a malignant dark triad, psychosadist, narcissist in, you know, secular psychological terms, you know, and that's a rare type. People, you know, and myself, well, I think there are genuinely a lot of people who are narcissists online, and whoever, it makes sense. And especially when now more than ever, the way to get attention and money is by behaving badly. Like, this is why I don't want to be a fucking streamer at all. Like, I shouldn't say that. I'm here streaming. I do enjoy it. I like talking to people. I like sharing my life, but I can't, it's not healthy for me to be as so invested, at least with like, that's the other thing. I'm like cutting back on like watching other streamers, or because then I get cut in this like cycle of reacting to people reacting. And it takes you just away from like God and what's good. And whenever I'm following God and what's good and just walking in that feeling, just constantly praying in my head, wherever I'm walking all day, I'm just praying and talking to God, you know, and asking him to like get rid of, you know, any thought, any bit of judgment or condemnation in my heart, even towards the people I've judged and condemned, people who have hurt me more than anyone, who've done the most to fuck with me, you know? I've been challenging myself every day to just see them as, you know, image bearers of God, to see them as, because really all sin is sin, you know? And we could play games about, but that's not, it's kind of like, say, I don't know, say there's like you caught a bunch of robbers in your house, and like one took a TV, one took a laptop, one took like a blender, one took this, and then sorry, I'm like all over the place right now. Oh, so like say they do that and you catch them, but you say, listen, you know, I'm gonna have mercy on you, just please don't do this anymore, you know. What if the person who stole the thing that was like $10 less is like, dude, they try to like get in by being like, I'm not like them. No, like you don't understand. Like that's so different than me. Like anytime I'm in my mind and it goes to, I'm this, they're that, I'm this, they're that. Idiot land. Worst use of a human mind and life. Thank you, Runda. Good for you, Ruby on the weed. It gave me a lot of benefits quitting. Yeah, and I've known like, you know, it would help me, but just the extreme difference and just the cloud lifting and like, it's just, wow. It's just been different. And it's not to say like, here's the thing. You can talk about someone's sin, but when you're framing it as I'm above them, I'm not, like we're all on that same level. It's good to discuss things because some, you know, maybe shine light on something or to help others. But you just have to always really keep it in that mindset because there's so many people who are diabolically obsessed haters. It's an epidemic. I'm not just talking about me. I don't even really have it that bad, at least not anymore. Bro, I don't know. I've just been on Twitter. I've been seeing a lot of people. They're like, hey, what's up with this thing where you like ban someone from your chat and then they become obsessed with like ruining your life, you know, or like just really insane levels of obsession, an absolute all-consuming obsession. It's tough. All sorts of emotions are coming out. If you stick with it, you'll feel really bad. I know, and I'm just so excited for that, and I'm just... But, and then, you know, then I deal with like some kind of like survivor's guilt of like, what the fuck, you know? There's just a lot of sick people in New Haven. It is an epidemic. And I've gotten a taste of it myself. Like with the Thorpes, I think we became like it became like a mutual obsession in a way, you know? Of like this, I don't know. It's not healthy, dude. And the things people do for the most worthless thing in the world. Like, just the fact that there's so many streaming is a cesspool. I'm sorry, it's sick. It's sick out here, people. Everything that I've experienced. No, there's a lot of great people actually. No, let me not be like clear in my speaking because I can kind of use superlatives like over the top too much sometimes. Are you no, I've never stolen a boyfriend. All these emotions are healthy, Ruby. Healing takes time, patience. Yeah. And it feels healthy. I feel like I'm on the right path. Like the tears are tears of just happiness. Like I feel peace and I feel it's just, you know, the sadness I feel is just like, you know, compassion for other addicts and really, you know, compassion even just for the people who've hurt me a lot. And that's, you know, and it doesn't mean that if you like, you know, follow Jesus' example, forgive people, pray for your enemies, bless those who curse you. Doesn't mean you have to keep interacting with them. It doesn't mean you need to keep them in your life. Doesn't mean you need to anything about that, you know? But in your heart, you need to do that or you're fucked. The things people do, what, for a gig and streaming? One of the most like unreliable markets in the world. It's sick. People are so lost. I liked The Craft when it came out. Yeah, I remember that movie. Or I don't know if I saw it when it came out. It might be a little before my time, but I watched it when I was younger. Yeah, well, and here's the thing. When I'm doing well, and I've had periods of doing very well in my life for like a sustained amount of time, you know, but it's just, I get cocky, I relapse, you know, and it just can't happen again. But it's like, I feel more than ever, I feel so certain that like, I don't need that, like risking my life, so I can fucking party and have fun. No, I'm done. I've had so much fun. I'm fucking over it. And like a lot of the fun, it ended up with despair I can't even describe. Like, traveling says you're connected where you trust, keep moving forward. This shift is real. Yeah. You know, and that's why it was important for me to find a church too, so that I could know if I'm just losing my mind or not. So one day at a time. Yeah. But it's like, I'm not struggling. It's easy. That's the thing. It's easy right now. It's easy for me to not smoke weed right now, because it feels so much better. It's like almost like being on Adderall, but also like highly connected to like an eternal flame of divine love that can recharge you and heal you 24/7. Saw in the theater, but I'm old. It's okay. I'm getting up there too, people. This will be the next addiction to go. You know, it just takes years, you know, and kept quitting stuff that became an addiction. Yeah. I get, you know, I've talked about, I get like really fixated on things and like obsessed with like learning about them. And like I've gone through phases of being way too into like aquariums. I had like 8 tropical fucking aquariums at once. Like I mentioned before, I got addicted to Kim Kardashian's video game app. I spent $500 on that in a month. I'm sick. Is it okay if I smoke weed to this? It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Because I was high as fuck watching so many videos about quitting. That's, you know, and it's weird because it's like, it's obviously not as bad as the crack and the fentanyl. So that's why, especially to me, it just seems like a nothing thing compared to like the catastrophe that was like crack, fentanyl, Xanax, even Adderall, these things that really grab me by the throat, you know? Good, didn't want to get mad. Everyone's on their journey and everyone's a universe and everyone, like, I don't know. The definition of what it is like sober. I wish I was on 0, no caffeine, no medication. I hope I can get to that point. So, but I'm like, yeah, I'm still drinking Red Bull. This is a substance. I'm smoking. That's a substance, you know? But I do feel like I've just had a lot of really insane revelations lately and really, I don't know. I just feel just like very good. Do you think weed helps you from being extra crazy? I thought that, but like, I'm starting to question that because life's been a breeze this week. Everything's easy. Everything I do feels very easy to do and fun. And also, like, I was so cut off socially, and I'll do this. And I think it's because, like, you know, I was pulled out of school really young and I was homeschooled for a few years where I was just to my own devices, you know, so I had like social anxiety. I've always been socially fucking weird, feral person. But I've had some amazing, really good friends. And when I'm smoking all the time, my phone anxiety, I get too afraid to answer my phone. I don't want to make plans ever. Like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to see anybody. I just want to be alone to do my drug and watch TV. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, nice. What's up, Quantum? How's it going? Siggy's SSRIs. Dude, yeah, I'm so ready to be off all the fucking medication. I'm glad there's other people. I didn't know the Kardashian app. We have other survivors. We have other survivors in the chat. We do get better from the Kim Kardashian app. Okay? It was addictive. No, and that's the way all these things are designed. A lot of things, it's like all designed to be addictive. Streaming in itself is addictive. And Kick knows that, manipulates the fuck out of streamers. Like, it's all built around a gambling, intermittent reinforcement, fucking bullshit design. Mary will protect and guide you. That's what I've really, truly been feeling. And, like, I just haven't told my mom yet. But I told my little brother. I was like, dude, don't tell mom. But, like, I'm going to send you this prayer. I know it sounds weird, but, like, just roll with me on this. Like, I was praying this, and, like, I'm just saying, like, it felt better than drugs. Just putting it out there, you know, to not even think. Oy. Ruby, I have psychosomatic addiction to reading lady novels. What do you do? I mean, I guess my new, and this is how I am, you know, before I relapsed, my hobbies were very much like music, weird internet stuff, pets. I've always just loved having animals. And I've always thrown down, I spent thousands on like a $1 fish. Like, you don't understand, I get crazy. But these are so much better habits than the alternative. And also, like, yes, I splurged a lot on the hamsters recently, and they're doing amazing. Cinnamon's even doing more of his wheel, which is so great because he's big. He's like a dog, dude. He's the size of a fucking dog. Especially compared to the new hamster, who's literally this big. And the new hamster, I can't even tell you, like, how fucking cute she is. But she, well, I'll just show you, actually. I've been editing some videos of it. And then, yeah. Anyway, this is just a stream to talk to chat and just kind of be, like, fairly open about what's been going on in my experience and how much it's affected me, you know. And I've also I stopped drinking. I haven't drank since March 1st, you know, because it's like I just acted like so foolishly. And like, that's what I mean. Like, without substances, I don't get to that dark of a place, you know? And I can't blame the substances when I do the substance that makes the situation. I need to do something differently. But I'm also just so acutely aware of, like, everyone's suffering. And, like, even Jesus is suffering. And it's been tearing me apart. Anyway, let me show you the video. One of the videos that I was watching last night that was, like, breaking my brain. Oh, also, wait. No, I wanted to show you my bookmarks first. And, I'm just here to chat. And the broad theme is, like, you know, addiction, weed addiction, God, spirituality, you know, mental illness. That's the vibe, people. Okay? Diabolical obsession. But I will be leaving to go to an AA meeting. Oops, I need to plug my laptop in too. There's an AA meeting, I think at like 5 that I want to go to. So Jesus. Yes, the good news, yes. Open the panel. Well, the thing is, part of me, I'm like, a lot of my issues online too are people I interact with on panels. You know, it's things have gotten out of control. So that's another thing I've been trying to really, I don't know. Maybe I'll do, once I go through some of these videos and kind of get everything out, maybe I'll open up the panel because I haven't done one in a while. And I do want to talk to people. I just, you know, I also have like a lot of people who, you know, they watch my channel or come to my channel because they liked, like seeing me crash out or be upset or be toxic, so those people are always going to try to pull me back into that box or try to make me act out of character. And I just have to be really strict about being careful. Duck wants to spurg. I like Duck. You need nothing for your journey now, girl, but faith. Amen. Yeah. Sounds great, Ruby. You've come a long way in the last year. What a year. You have discernment now. I've been praying nonstop for that, and just being in gratitude. Because it's like sometimes I'm praying and asking for things and I'm disgusted with myself. Because if you really think like, okay, this person just not just laid their life, not just died, but like in front of their, mother, in front of their father, and in front of all their enemies who lied about them and made them something else, called them evil, called Jesus evil, mutilated him beyond recognition. I just think about like when I've been, focusing more on like Mary and like just imagining a mother. That's what it must be. Just be like the worst pain you could ever imagine is watching your child be lied about, slandered. You don't even get to hold on to like the memory of who they really are, and then be tortured. I would, if I saw someone do that to Cinnamon, it would ruin me. Fear's an illusion, balance starlight. Yeah. Oh lordy, I like him too for when he's hardcore anti-Christian. That's fine. I mean, I was explicitly anti-Christian. I had an upside down cross tattooed on my body. I covered it with an anchor. But that was an upside down cross. People don't really seem to understand how different things are for me now than they used to be. I mean, I've been moving away from that, being like explicitly anti-Christian for a while. But so I get that perspective. But at the same time, I don't want to debate. I'm not here to debate because I didn't come to Christ through reason or a debate. It was a direct, undeniable experience. That's what did it for me. So it's really hard. The best way you can, rather than debate, I think the best way to like bring people to God is just to be a living testimony to what Jesus can do. And that's why, that's why God loves sinners, because of the challenge of bringing them back, because of that contrast. Looking like a snack. Thank you. Roy Masters would disagree. I'm not sure what that is. Everything balanced, stay in the moment. 100%. Have you heard about Paris Hilton? No. Is she okay? Get a medical card. Yeah, if people are smoking, it should like, I don't know. I think especially the vape carts that I was getting like at like head shops, it's so much stronger. This isn't marijuana as it once was, it's just very different. He's a narcy quack. Nice. Only the strong survive here. Only the ardent who have been cursed by 1,000 ghosts and angels can progress. Low 3, interesting take, but not sufficient one. You're strong enough. Paris Hilton is trapped in my smoking gazebo and can't escape. Oh no. Yeah, I was using a dab pen like every day, all day. Because I was like, in my mind, I was treating it like a medicine for my methadone withdrawal. But the medicine was making everything worse. And I can't wait to go down on my methadone again. I really can't, because it's like, I feel so much more alive inside, and just like, I'm just filled with like this creative urge and these pro-social feelings and just wanting to be in the world again. It's really exciting. Was watching him because of all the lies in the world. There are a lot of lies in the world. Satan is the father of lies. The children of the lie run amok. This is author self-sabotage. All right, let me I wanted to pull up my ex to show you something. And then there's like a couple videos I wanted to watch talking about psychology stuff. So I love the Pope. I adore him. So there's that. I just thank God, that there's someone with influence who's being like speaking from the soul, from the Holy Spirit, speaking truth, Be careful, Next. I know. Yeah, we've had an incident before. I was like, because, I know a lot of sex workers as someone who also was once, doing like OnlyFans and whatnot. So there's people I follow who have spicy Twitters blended in with their regular. Sometimes you'll think they're just like, oh, look, the cute outfit. And then it's like taken off, But I just love this, like, there's like newer waves of like Catholicism. I saw something about like there's a bishop who is like washing the feet of like a transgender prostitute. And I was like, I don't know. I just find this beautiful. Have you ever tried meditation? Guided meditations are great for me. I have a little bit. I went through a phase where I would meditate for like hours every day. Like in like 2015, I was doing that, but I fell off with it. I just got like obsessed with it, and it would take me to a cool place. I was trying to always just like find a way to like get high on life so that I wouldn't do drugs. But as of lately, I did kind of start meditating because I use that like mask that like it's an LED red mask. It's like good for your skin. And whenever I just decided you have to do it for 3 minutes. So I decided whenever I do the mask, I'm just going to spend 3 minutes of just sitting in total silence, doing nothing. And that's just like a very, because you're not going to be able to hear clearly the voice of God or be connected to that if you're constantly in chaos, either communicating, receiving. You need stillness. You need silence, So, yeah, obviously very modest meditation practice of 3 minutes a day, but that's kind of getting me in that way. And I pray a lot. I pray like whenever I'm walking anywhere or just, and that's something that, I don't know, I just started doing more and more to the point where now that's my norm. And I'm getting better at like, when there's like some kind of like demonic thought in my mind of like hatred or judgment and condemnation or, any wicked bullshit like that, I'm getting better at like just being like, oh, that's not for me. Like, that's not me. It's not how I want to be. It never was. It's a sickness. That's not progressive. All church leaders like fathers, brothers, it's do feet washing things. Supposed to be for anyone to express humility amongst other things. Also, progressive. Thank you. It's not. I don't know if I was trying to make a point that was progressive. I just found it to be like beautiful. Or, I guess I was saying it's like a new wave. Yeah. Maybe it's just something I'm noticing more. There's definitely been a wave. There's a spiritual revival happening right now. That's just undeniable at this point. I see it everywhere in my day-to-day, at the bookstore, the people I interact with, the books we sell. I'm seeing it everywhere. And I'm so fucking thrilled because like some of my closest friends who I know are like some of the best, kindest, sweetest, most empathetic, amazing people I know who were atheists, they're like warming up to God. They're warming up to Jesus. And these people who I was afraid to even talk to about that, because we had known each other as like anti that, very anti that. That was in like my music and like it's yeah. But also alongside that, there's a huge increase in demonic possession. There's in like requests for exorcisms, I should say, because the majority of requests end up not being needing an exorcism, but there's like 1% that does. But regardless, that number is skyrocketing. There's a new wave of like diabolical obsession. So that's why I wanted to pull up this tweet. They said, why does cutting people off online turn into being cyber stalked for the next 2 years? Right? And so I saw that and I was like, yep. Yeah, why is that? That's kind of crazy. And there's just like hundreds of people also like confirming like, oh my God, I thought I was just me experiencing this. Because what's happened, like Play to Wings, Armani, these people who I've banned in chat who explicitly, they'll even tell me, I'm going to destroy you. And they'll go at it for a while. You know? Like, massively dedicated to that. People are really weird, the techno bullshit. Yeah, and also it's like people have just fallen so far away from meaning, purpose, family, everything good and true in this world, you know, and tried to replace it with everything that's a lie. And people are like, well, this lie isn't really working out. What's the alternative? I went to a Greek fest for the food and ended up listening to a seminar by a Greek Orthodox priest make fun of the Catholics. That's the other thing. There's like a demonic spirit of mocking people. And that's heavily rewarded online. And I can get to this place, obviously. A lot of my, like, Celebrity Sunday, I'm going into drama, going back and forth with people. And I still haven't figured out, like, what level of that is okay, if any level, or how to go about that kind of coverage. I think that's why I've been covering Keemstar, because it's like kind of satiating that urge to be in proximity to toxicity, while also giving me something to use as an example to talk about like a broader issue in society, you know, and that's like the complete degradation of like love, value, truth, beauty, all things good and pure in this world. He was married to a woman in cricket. Orthodox Catholics are estranged siblings. Yeah, and you know, that's where I've been going. And I don't know where I'm gonna like totally land. I would like to go back to that Orthodox church though, and I'm hyped that one of the women that I met, who she was like another cool like goth chick who had like a similar experience, because that's what I need. I need to be around, because it's a unique path in faith to be fallen for so long and then to come back, and then to be in like someone who's also been in like a fringe culture. You'll understand how crazy things get and how normal crazy things can start to seem when you're immersed in that, you know? Very crazy. It's been months since I've been here, but last time I was here, you were kind of soul searching for a higher power. You seem to be in Christianity now. What changed? I mean, I've been on this search for a long time, you know, but I've gotten obviously insanely derailed in my life and just caught up in bullshit. But ever since I had a direct encounter with God in 2023, during fentanyl withdrawal, when I felt, because I didn't believe in spirituality as a concept. I didn't believe in spirits. But it was just very like proven to me firsthand that like I can feel so spiritually well. I'm in a state of bliss. I'm happy. I'm filled with joy, even though I'm sicker than I've ever been in my life. You know, and I've been trying to figure out what that was for a while. And and I started reading the Bible, and I was like, I'm like an atheist Christian, or like, oh, there's just like cool teachings in it. So it's been like this very windy road. But I've been reading the Bible daily for about like the last year to varying degrees. You know, I've always found it helped me, but there've been times where I fell off from doing it, and I got caught up in something again. It's just been a windy road. But like I'd say what kickstarted me on my like more recent dedication and like seriousness about it was the whole scandal when like, I got into the argument about like the edgy jokes and everything that happened around that, and then like Lo dumping me as a friend, all of that. It just was like a wake-up call of like me really reflecting like, how did this happen, why did this happen, why, like I don't know, it just was a wake-up call, and it hurt so much, and I turned to God a lot during those times, and he was there. So and then I realized too, like I need to prioritize. I need to like go to a church or something, because it's I want to know what is going on. Like, so I started going to church like maybe like I've gone to church on and off with my mom periodically, or with like one of my other like Christian friends, but I started going more regularly. Yeah, it was like around March 1st, and then I stopped all drinking, and yeah, I don't know. So Yeah, 100%. There's even like the Jefferson Bible, which takes basically all of that and then like adds like a secular version. So, and like for me, that was the gateway drug into really believing, though. So, you know, I'm just saying that, and like just reading the stories of the saints and like seeing so much of myself in these people over and over and over, and their struggles and in them overcoming and how they handled it, and really realizing how prideful I am about certain things, how defensive I am about certain things, and how I can just rationalize things. And, you know, you're never going to be happy just living for yourself like that, you know? And I can't be who I need to be for my friends and family and be a person in this world when I'm, you know, fucked up all the time. Unfinished says, yeah, I just covered that period in Shabbatoni clips. Yeah, I got your boundaries point. The Shabbatoni clips. I don't know. I don't know. I had to unsub from like a bunch of those channels. So, because I can't keep up with it, because it turns into, it starts with curiosity, like, oh, I wonder, you know, what are people up to? And then it turns into rage, and then it turns into like I can't expose myself to people who I know are diabolically and demonically like possessed to some degree, in my opinion. I can't care what those people think, because it's never going to make sense. I tuned into Jeremy. Here's a good example of this. I went to watch something on Jeremy's channel. I haven't checked in forever. I was just curious. You know, it's been like since March 1st that I haven't watched like any of these channels or kept up with anything. And so I popped in, and he was he was like, Ruby fell off. Did you see she got like a hamster to try to like desperately boost her channel? And it's like, what are you talking about? And it's like so outrageous. It's so dumb. It's so not connected to reality. It's so not, no one is really listening. It's like, what the fuck do I care what him and his 9 followers are saying about it, when it's like, I just know it to be inaccurate. Like, I love it. I've always loved animals. But so here we go. Now I'm arguing. I'm like, what? It starts being this thing in my head. Like, oh, the edgy jokes that break up all angels. Oh, yeah. That was brutal. And I didn't like how condemning. I didn't like the tone of condemnation in my voice. That disturbed me as well. I don't know. I feel like I was on a point. I forgot to finish. Why cast pearls to swine? I mean, Jesus came to save the sinners, to save the sick. But it's, with Jeremy. So what happens is when I watch something like that, now all of a sudden I have this stupid, not reality-based, like just weird opinion that's in my brain now. And I start thinking like, why would they say that? Or he was just like, wow, like, look, Ruby's rough. Like, it's rough for her. And I'm like, I feel amazing, dude. What are you talking about? Like, holy shit. And like, I love my hamsters. I adore them. I've always loved animals. 0% of me was like, oh, numbers are down. You know, numbers are down. So I better go, like, just Machiavellian, like, go buy an animal to be like, and it's like, I know that's not true. Anyone who knows me knows that's not true. So it's like, it's just a waste of thoughts. It's a waste of energy. And it's just dumb. It's just dumb. So this is why I can't watch these people. I'm telling you, because it just is a waste of, it's a derailment that doesn't even make sense to engage with, when I could be thinking about something way better than like thinking in my mind of like, like, why on earth would I care about what fucking Jeremy thinks about why I bought my hamster? Like, that's insane. You know, it's just another lesson of like, I need to de-invest in the opinions of others, reinvest in the opinion of God. Every time I find myself caring about something like just so stupid like that, that's just where my mind goes. But And it's just funny because I don't want to be a streamer anymore. I'm not trying to do this like that. You know, I've said many times I've officially demoted this to my like lucrative hobby because it was making me sick. It's just not for me. You know, I'm working more at the bookstore. I still enjoy streaming, but I'm not going to I can't let myself be motivated by views or whatever, because that brought me to a very sick place. Yeah, people like watching sick shit. Okay. And if people, I don't know, it's just not what I want to do with my life, you know? I don't know why that's so crazy. Like it was fun, like being more focused on it, even though I've always still had the job at the bookstore, you know, to like connect me from going like totally like into this weird cesspool reality of like insanity. So that would be a fire segment like Wednesday shows. Ruby searches for meaning. Oh yeah, you're going to different churches than other spiritual leaders. Sunspire. Oh, I saw you had an interesting takes on philosophy and spirituality. That's really kind to say. Thank you, Unfinished Business. And I absolutely would love to do a show, and it's been on my mind for a while because when I was doing fairly well during like LOL Angels, it helped me a lot. And that's the other thing. LOL Angels didn't pull numbers. We would have like 9 viewers because people like toxic shit. And the audience that I was engaging with a lot and who was watching me are those people who like that. And I don't want those people. It's like, I'm good on that. You know, it was a cool experience, but I'm good on that right now. But yes, I would like to do another kind of like spirituality. And I have a couple names in mind. I was thinking like Spiritual Cramp. It's a song by a group I like called Christian Death. It was like a goth group. I'm just trying to find my charger. I keep like moving it into my room and out of my room and into my room. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's right here. But I just feel so blessed lately, honestly. I just love my job so much. I love working with Cameron. Like I get to just get paid to hang out with my friends and learn and read about the things that I'm obsessed with. And like the customers are so sweet. All these things that like, it's just sick how there could be so much beauty around you and you're missing it. You know, these really sweet, like, I don't know, really sweet customers and just people I know. See, Whitney Cummings and her sisters declared war on Keanu Mark Cancel. Really? Why? Oh, speaking of diabolically obsessed hatred, yeah, I was thinking about that woman who is constantly tweeting about Keanu. And like, I don't know everyone's whatever. So I don't want to say I'm defending anything that's ever happened. I don't really know the full lore about anyone. But it does look like someone who's diabolically obsessed. That's a good example of that. Whether or not Keanu did something that she didn't like in the past doesn't justify trying to ruin them for the rest of their lives. That's weird behavior. That's corny. That's cringe because it's really just waving a flag saying like, I'm so fucking unhealed. I'm going to take a shit right here. Like, I'm just going to like spray shit all over the place. Like, and I think that's doing something. Like, and think I'm on a moral crusade. That is the tea. This whole, oh my God. People will do the most evil shit and they think they're doing it for God. That's the scary shit. There's a lot of Pharisee. There's a lot of people who are following the wrong shit. Kim likes you. Get her on Celebrity Sunday. We'll have Keanu confront her. Okay. I mean, well, okay. Look. Tyler, this is Ruby, the newbie, the new, you know, I don't want to just do like drama in the way that I did, but I would be happy to facilitate a conversation because I have my perspective on it. I'm not as invested. If they're down for it, I would be totally down to do that. Actually, we could do that this Sunday because I don't know what I'm doing yet for Celebrity Sunday. Yeah, he knows my stream. My boss is amazing. My boss is a sweetheart. There's so many good people. There really are. Like, what was that? Like yesterday, I went to the pet store and I left my backpack somewhere. I had all my shit in it, you know, and someone turned it in. Or like when I walked that lady and was going to buy her scone and they just give it for free. There's stuff like that happening everywhere all day and people are so blind to it. You know, it's just very sad. You could be Christian Wholesome Moderator. Sure. Yeah, sign me up for that. I'm done. Because I've like, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out how to do Celebrity Sunday and like how I want to tweak the show to not be as toxic and as attracting that audience. I don't want like that. I don't know. Because in a way, it's like I want to reach people who might not otherwise be reached in certain ways, even if they hate me. Part of me, I get a kick out of like trying to win people over, but then that can become my own obsession of like trying to get demons to like me, trying to get demons to love me. It's a losing game. Like, maybe, but they're acutely aware with the channel. They know everything. Like, you know, they even ask about. Oh, one of the customers asked about the Thorpes yesterday. That was. Because the people at the bookstore saw like every, you know, they were there when I was, you know, being chased around by these maniacs, and one of them ran into me in court, like filing restraining orders and all this shit. And one of the customers was like, hey, like, you know, how are you doing? Like, you know, how are things with like the crazy stalker people? And I was like, I'm actually doing amazing. Like, you know, that situation seems to be finally resolved. I got restraining orders, and it seems like, you know, hopefully we can all just move on for that. And I genuinely wish them well. And I genuinely do pray for them, honestly. And that's also been healing for me because there was so much rage, you know, and anger about what they've done to me and my family. And it's still hard to understand, but it's like squeezing the blade of a knife. I'm just hurting myself and it's bleeding out into other areas of my life. You know, that sickness. And I just can't engage. And people have been saying this forever. Don't engage, don't react. But I was like, oh, well, I react. It's kind of like content anyway. So let me just go on this little fucking insane ride of just reacting and being a fuck, you know? Many church leaders like pastors, priests, rabbi are usually willing to be on camera. It could be fun to talk through spirituality. Yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. And I'm going to start, I don't know, I've been on X a lot and it's helped me get like some leads for people to hit up for interviews. I really want to interview like sex workers who found God and left the industry, because I feel like, you know, I have my perspective in that, and I don't know, I'd like to hear other people going through it. And I think it's an important thing because a lot of young women have been sold this lie, this fantasy life, when it's anything but, you know, and they're going to need to know that there's a way out, because when they come and when they change, there's going to be a lot of Christians trying to tell them that they can't change, that they will never be worthy of God, that because of what they've done, you know, I don't know. So it's like, there should be a support there for people who are new and adjusting to that, because there's so much backlash. There's like this weird anti-testimony slant to like a segment of Christianity that's so antithetical to everything I've read in the Bible. Like, what? Oh, don't share the gospel. Oh, Jesus healed. Don't shut up. What? Tell me that's not a demon talking. Tell me. Being a people pleaser is trauma's curse. Yeah, I mean, I feel better when people feel better, you know? I don't know. And like, I care for, yeah, like people, anything that can feel, I prefer for it to feel well, you know? Taking poison, expecting the other person to get ill is the saying about holding on to hate. 100%. And I thought I could do it in a balanced way, but I obviously couldn't. And it was impacting me in ways I didn't want to admit. It was, you know, bringing my behavior to a place that's not who I am or have ever been. And I'm so serious about not ever being like that again, you know? So that's why I don't want to be a streamer. This is a fun hobby that I love doing. And I love my job at the bookstore. So, and I so appreciate everyone who's supported my channel. You know, it's been, the generosity this month has been overwhelming. Anyway, so it's just weird to go through like having like kind of like a series of unfortunate events. Like, okay, wait, things are getting better now. Okay, like cautiously optimistic. Then do Scarpa already? You two are Silken Turbs. Scarlet. It's not Scarpa. So yeah, Scarlet is someone who I wanted to meet up with because she was like, you know, someone who was a sex worker and had this like kind of intense, eccentric personality, you know, and you know, some overlap in our experiences and like, and she was like speaking out against the industry. It seemed like she wanted to move away from it, but I do have concerns about my own sobriety and ability to hang out with people who are still kind of like one foot in the lifestyle of like partying, you know, like her and Ralph are, they're doing the like, you know, getting married in Vegas, they're getting arrested, people are bleeding, there's drug allegations, there are allegations all around. So it's like, yeah, naturally, being the dumb bitch that I am, naturally I'm like want to dive right in and be like, all right, let's try to save a bitch. But I have to realize and be realistic about myself and what I can handle and what I don't know. Jesus said, if no one's to hear the message, knock the door. Somebody else say for it. This one has beautiful eyes like a wolf. Thank you. That's very kind. You should stream. Just need to lean into the positivity and stay away from drama. Yes, exactly. And that's where I'm at. And that's why it doesn't, you know, it's, of course, like, you know, when you do a stream and it dips under like 20 viewers or something, like it'll, in my head, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? But it's like, I have to expect this. Like, oh, boo-hoo, I lost to 20 viewers who prefer to watch me kill myself. Like, okay, dude. So and I do think that there's an audience for people. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to create content that feels authentic, positive, true, and good to me. And just really try to keep that in reins because it's the Wild West online. There's a lot of dark shit online. Metal bands are, I never got into emo. I really like, there's a group called Bone Owl, AWL. Their album Meaningless Leaning Mess. That was like a kind of like niche metal. Smoke a blunt, take a hit. Just be yourself. Yeah. And it's like I've always done that, but there's darker parts to myself. You can tap into different aspects of yourself, you know? And I just wasn't doing any kind of discretion about that. I was just like, just going with whatever, you know? And I've always, like, to my channel, like the only guiding light of my channel has been to try to, I've just always enjoyed creating things and wanted to create something that feels authentic. That's just, yeah, that's just been the goal of the channel, you know? But I can't lean into the dark stuff anymore. I personally think if you choose to be a sexy worker, you should not have an automatic acceptance in traditional. Yeah, I don't think anyone argues for that. Yeah, it's weird when like that woman who said she was like formerly promiscuous and got married, like people are like, oh, you want me to marry a whore? And it's like, no, but like, hallelujah, she's found God and, you know, redeemed her life. Like, that's the point. But people don't like that point, so they pretend it's a different point and then argue with a different point. What are we doing? You looked at your shadow, most keep hiding. Yeah, and the shadow is for real. The shadow is for real. And it's like you can know that, but you're like, oh, I'm not perfect. But it's like you have to really reckon with like your darkest impulses and realize that's me, you know? And I'm no better than the worst person on this planet. And Jesus would have died for the worst person on this planet if they, you know, could repent like at the last minute, genuinely. I just saying I didn't expect to be called out for it. Called out for what? Did someone, I don't know what happened that you're talking about though. Mary Magdalene, yes. And learning about her and her story has also been very profound to me. So she's someone who's in my prayers every day. And Saint Mary of Egypt. Those are the three. The Blessed Virgin, Holy Mother of God, Theotokos, and then Saint Mary, or Saint Mary of Magdalene, and then Saint Mary of Egypt. Those are like my three Marys that I'm obsessed with. Awakening is not for the faint of heart. Yeah, it's intense. It's intense, but like when I feel like it's too much, I just pray more, and I just have to be so serious about it. These are really weird times to be a person. I'm in a very, like, a point in my life where the party's over. The party's fucking over. We cannot, like, we need to move on. It's not, because when I get drunk, there have been points where I was drinking and I'm like, oh, I want drugs now. And thank God it didn't work because I was too lazy to figure it out and don't have any drug contacts. But like, that's not okay. I cannot get to that point ever, So I'm not saying like I'm going to be perfect, celibate, sober, anything, or that I'm on the other side of something. Don't get it twisted, people. Like, I'm just figuring out my own shit in real time. And I think it's fun to share with people and get feedback from people and see if they relate to it or, have some kind of reaction to it. G Thanks said, hi, I learned about you from Mark. I'm intrigued, and party is not over until I say so. Oh, welcome. Mark Fusion. Yeah, Mark's the man. We love Mark Fusion. I actually was going to send him a message because I unprivated a bunch of old videos because I had privated them just because it was during the court case, and it just seemed smart to just like private everything just in case, because it's like thousands of hours of content. I just didn't want to jeopardize anything. I don't know what, like, so I just undid that. And also I was like, I unprivated some of the like Thorpe videos even because like, or like me talking about that situation. Initially I wanted to wipe them entirely from like the history of this, but it's a part of the history of my channel, I just don't want people to think I'm currently associated with that. And I don't want people who like that kind of content to come to me. I don't want that. Yeah, we're still learning. Challenge said, I think it'll be perfect to run in spiritual recovery circles. That's what I love. And I know there's like that part of the internet. That's where I need to be more in that direction. 100%. I agree with that. Or not that I'd be like perfect for anything, but that's where I should try to go. Once you get a certain age, nothing good is coming from partying. Trust me, LOL. Yeah. It becomes like truly, yeah, we're both around that age where it's like, it's do or die. Like, we've already fucked up a lot. There's already things we might not be able to get back or ever achieve. But, we can live. We can make a happy, fulfilling lives for ourselves if we stop living like that, But, it's a very, it's crazy to me how close I've put myself to death over and over and over and over. Just so recklessly. Current recovery is tough because relapse also happens. Yeah. I mean, I was clean for 8 years. And I relapsed. And it put my life in a absolute tailspin that's taking years to undo and to redo it, become something new, and that's the whole thing, is becoming anew in Christ and being, I don't know. You can heal your life, stay here now. Yeah. I feel really locked into that. Like, I do feel very, I don't know. I feel strongly about like God right now, Jesus, and connecting with other people who are in recovery. Like, because I was interacting with too many people online who don't care if I live or die. They actually think it's funny if I die. It's like, you really don't understand the level that people are at, because they'll be friendly with you in interaction, but at the end of the day, they have no care for you whatsoever as a human being. So I'm like sitting around interacting with assholes who don't give a fuck about me online, ignoring the calls of the people who actually care about me. Like, Stinky says, I'm a bit older than you, but you have to accept mistakes you have made and move on. It's what you do from now that matters. 100%. Yes. Yes, you were in alignment. I mean, I've never felt so much inner peace in my life that it's overwhelming. But there is that, it's a bittersweet at times because I'm having to face real like guilt and shame and regret, and there's this delusion like when you're an addict that you're just hurting yourself. That's how I thought it was okay. Like, I'm an addict, but I'm not like other addicts. I don't steal from people, I don't inject, I don't do this, so I'm not that bad. It was always my rationalization. You ever watch Alex Jones versus the Quartering? No, but I saw the Quartering has been going viral for all the wrong reasons on Twitter right now, like threatening Kino Casino to like not make content about him. Like, what am I guilty of? I'm guilty of putting my family through hell, of making my little brother watch me die. And it's not, I never like stole. There were certain lines I never crossed. I always had these very firm boundaries, and that made me think that it was okay as long as I stay in these bounds. Like, I'm fine, I'm functioning, I'm a functioning addict, whatever. There's a reason why I was drawn to living in a haze, because now it's like I said, I wanted my memory back. But it's like I'm getting my memory back, and just now I remembered. Just my little brother, especially. We lived here, everything was going well, and I relapsed, and he just had to be here, like, watching me die and not change and just get worse and worse and worse. And I remember, like, we would have Narcan around the house. Like, it's just, God, it's just so fucked. But I remember one night, like, he rarely would, like, express how upset. He was more of, like, one of those, like, try to not rock the boat types. But there was one night he burst in my room and just was screaming at me, like, I shouldn't have to know how to use this. I shouldn't have to know how to use this. Like, just putting that on him when he already lost his brother. Like, we've already lost a sibling. The fact that I even put that as a possibility kills me. Like, I can't even explain. Oh my God, it just would have been. It's like, I'm just so glad I survived, but oh my God, like, so yeah, I feel guilt and like just it's just putting my family through that when we've already been through so much, and then putting my brother through that again. And it's like, I don't feel like this is like an unhealthy guilt. It's just the reality that I didn't want to face fully, and really seeing it for what it is sick and scary. So that's why I need to be so serious, because it's like, you don't instantly get to that point. You're a frog in boiling water. You're like, it's years of use, and then it just destroys you. So I have to be so careful not to put myself at like getting drunk and then saying like, do a drug, and then boom, I just cannot. That can't be an option. It can't. Yeah, no, he's thrilled. And me and my brother, we've been talking more than ever, And like, it was really nice, just me and my dad and my brother out, for Easter. But yeah, it's a lot to really deal with and think about how serious things have been. And I have no, that's the thing. I have no doubt that I'll be all right. I'm not crying because like, I feel like, oh, what am I going to do? I know I'm on the right path right now. I know that to be true. But it's also true of what I did. And it just breaks my heart. And I need to know that. And I need to remember that so that I don't ever, I used to save, like when I was trying to quit, I tried to quit so many times and I couldn't do it. I used to save my drug dealer's number for a while. I saved it as like Kevin finding my dead body. Because I thought that like, if I could just remember, that's what'll happen. You know, he'll find me like that. That's, yeah, it just breaks my heart. But it's like a healing recognition. I don't feel tormented or anything. I still feel this strong sense of peace, even as I'm going through more difficult emotions and realizations. I still feel like this profound peace. And I need to face what I've done and feel it and know it. That's just how it works. Thank you. And I do. And it's like, you know, I've anyway. Kevin, why didn't you just, you're asking me why it didn't make sense when I was in the throes of addiction. The thing is, I had the numbers memorized, and that was an issue. Because a big thing was getting rid of those numbers. And I remember one time, one of the first attempts I made at detoxing, when I found out how insane things get, I ran out of my friend's apartment, no shoes. I ran back to my house because I had written down my dealer's number in a diary in my room. And I ran to my house. She called my family. Everyone shows up here, and we're in a battle over this journal. Because like he had changed his number. So all of a sudden I needed his number. And I grabbed the number. I run out and I go behind the back of a church. And I say, can you front me like 4 bundles? And he does. He's there 5 fucking minutes later. My hero. Like, it's sick. You remember it, but don't torture yourself with it. Just drill it into yourself. How happy you are now. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm. It's just that, you know, I'm remembering things. That's, you know, so that's great. I want my brain to work, but it's also a bit much. It's a bit much at times. So I apologize for being so like teary and like weepy. I'm not like, it's not because I'm doing poorly. It's like, I do feel like I'm doing better than I have ever done in my life. But, and part of that is just really having to process negative emotions without a crutch. Or I thought this is when you're having those glimpses of clarity. Well, no, I mean, there was that, and this is the reason, you know, I think I got through is I always had like that tiny bit of hope. And even though I was an atheist, I was always praying because I was desperate. You don't know what else to do when you're like, it's indescribable pain. Bundles. How many bags of Feldman would you do a day? Like 30 to 40. It depended. I could be not sick. Like I could be not sick on like 15 bags, like a bundle and a half. That was like my bare minimum, which is like about the heroin I was getting. It was like fentanyl, whatever. It was like $100 a day. But that was the bare minimum. Ideally, it would be like $200 a day. And then that was just my daily habit. Then you get crack on the weekends. There goes $800. Sick. Juan says, I don't know you very long, Ruby, but my heart is here open. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that, you know, people, I don't know, because I do love streaming. I love interacting with people, but I need to refocus my content, obviously. And this is the direction I'm going in. And, You know, I appreciate the people who stick around and who've been for me the whole time. And, you know, I wish the best for the people who are more into the sadism content, but quite frankly, I just don't want to do that at all. Like, so I'm just not going to. It's the thing about being a free bitch. I thought 1G a day would kill a city of Fenty. Yeah, but you get a tolerance. You get a tolerance. If you have no tolerance, you do a speck of fentanyl, you could die. I was doing piles of it because I could get the money. You know, I was making a killing doing fine dining. You know, that was like $1,200 at minimum a week just for that. And then OnlyFans, that's like another like $1,500 a week or so between the custom content and whatever. So I could afford, my drug dealers loved me. And I was a principled junkie. I always paid them back on time. I never like, I always had my like weird like lines and like, but it was all kind of like a delusion to myself to like justify my addictions. Oh yeah, let me show that. I wanted to show a video of Cynthia. Because she got some new toys and was being so cute with it. So yeah, you're going to see more pet content, more God content. That's just where we're at. More just doubling down on my normal interests, you know, talking about things I'm reading or whatever, like books or videos, my little video edits. That's just what we're going to be doing. Although I would love to go on a trip in the near future. But I think part of that is I'm just not used to having money. So I'm like, I got to do something now. But I really should be like putting it towards my, you know, have a little starting seed for the new condo because that's the entire portion of my settlement. I think people are confused. It's like there was 500,000 portion for me. I gave half to charity and half to a condo. It's gone. It's gone. But Connecticut has crazy property taxes, condo fees, all this shit. So I'm going to be paying a little less. Well, no, it's going to be less than what I'm paying now for this apartment, which is amazing, you know, and incredibly happy for that, you know. I remember when you threw your phone in the wall. Oh. Yep. Multiple times I thought, you know, I was being spied on through my electronics or whatever, or being manipulated through the electronics. So I'd like run my phone underwater or throw it at something. I remember one night I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was the night when I walked into the random family's house because I thought they were actors and I was going to confront them because I was psychotic. Yeah, during that night, I remember I woke up and I broke like a couple of my mom's like electronic things. I should probably get her. Well, I'm sure she's, you know, my mom, she's had a good job for years. So she's been in a, you know, in a good spot, and she's very close to Jesus and loves God. And she's always like told me, because she's seen me have these psychological struggles. She's like, you know, you could always read Jesus, you know, like, and I thought I knew better than her. I thought I was smarter, and I'm not. Like, she's a fucking genius, and I'm an, well, no, I was going to say she's a genius and I'm an idiot, but like, I shouldn't say I'm an idiot. Like, but you know, I thought I had something figured out that like she did it or like that. I don't know, like just stupid shit. You should work the baby steps. Great financial advice. Dude, speaking of good financial advice, my credit score is back. My credit score is back. Speaking of good things happening in the world, I'm back in the 700s. So, and I went down to like the 300s, okay? My mom, I mean, you know, she's amazing. And like for Easter, my dad, you know, he's had a lot of health problems, so he can't drive right now. And she drives, you know, like an hour to like get him and get us all together, you know, because she loves him as a person. You know, there are people who can divorce and be on good terms and still be a team, you know, and they've been through something no parent should ever have to go through. So they're always going to be a support to each other in that way, you know, and they both have partners who understand that, you know, so I'm fortunate. I have just such that family rock to turn to of people who've always loved me, like my grandpa, who's a member on the channel, you know, who knows the names of all of his grand fish, my pet fish. 350 is absolute lowest thing, lol. Yes, exactly. It got bad. Because I started using like loan, like I was just desperate for money. I didn't care. When you're sick and you need a drug, I would chop off my arm. I would saw it off if I had to. Okay. Like, so I started making some bad financial choices, and I never wanted to lose the apartment. I somehow managed to not lose living here, through everything. Did you file your taxes? No, I need to do that. That's another thing I need to do like immediately, because I think this is the first year where I'm going to owe taxes. I've usually I hadn't. I don't know. Or actually, no. It's like, yeah, no, because the last time I did it, I got like a refund. Oh yeah, but 1,000%. Talk about your. I mean. I can't interact. It's not healthy for us to interact at all. I wish them well. I know that they have a very rough family situation. But I just can't really be around the sadism and stalking. And they went after my family a lot. And that's just too much for me. So even though I can love them as people from a far distance and like wish them well and even admire some of their better qualities and be able to see that, but also recognize that they're not safe to have anywhere in proximity to my life due to the lengths they're willing to go to harm me and my family. I've just never experienced that before. I didn't know it existed. Truly. I had no idea. I really didn't know. Everyone told me, don't collab with them. Don't collab with them. Every single streamer I knew was telling me, you don't understand. Don't do it. And that just made me want to do it more, because I'm like, I know what it's like to be misunderstood. Like, oh, I get it. They're just, I'm the one who sees it. Like, they're just trolling and everyone is just like taking that bet. Like, I had my own little narrative about it to justify whatever. But yeah, wish them well from a distance is where I'm at. What was I just about to show? Oh yeah, I wanted to show Cynthia. And also I can't forget about my meeting later. Look it! Not sure. And she's loving it. Oops. Wait, I got you a whole bunch of new stuff. You. Yeah. You want to see it? What is it? You got some on your face. You don't love it. Like, you like it? Ah! Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Isn't she amazing? You ought to do it. Good girl. Do you like your new house? Another little hideaway? I think so. Well, that'll be good to keep your teeth good. And also like the good old-fashioned toilet. Isn't she amazing? Girl. You are very cute. Dude, Tyler. You are very cute. Yeah. Actually, listen, Tyler. I actually just unprivated a bunch of videos, so you can get that experience. It already happened, and it went on for way too long, and it got way too toxic. You'll love it. You will love it. Trust me. I get the entertainment aspect of the whole fucking thing. Fentanyl versus incest. You can't write this shit. Oh, you mean Courtney? Well, no, I don't want anything. Like, no, I'm so good on it. I wish them well, and I would love to be able to like get like a gift or something to her, or like some kind of like donation, because I do feel guilty for participating and being like kind of used as a pawn in their whole fucking weird thing about harassing her, Ruby just reacting to her pets. I mean, yeah, but it's like, the thing is, I'm just gonna do content that feels good and like what I want to do. That's just really, And I love if anyone watches it, that's amazing. The fact that anyone does that's just plenty for me. Like when I was a musician, it was enough for me to play a show and have people sing my songs that I wrote back to me. That's it. That's all I needed. That's it. I'm good. I'm good with that, dude. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Hello. So I'll be able to see on this side because it's clear. The 15th? Okay. Yeah, I knew I was like, I still have some time. I always do everything last I like to have things just so. Good girl. Yes. Wow. Woohoo. You're going to get flung off. Oh, no, you got it. You're a pro. She's a pro. Isn't she amazing? Baby's first crunch. Oh my gosh. Anyway. All right. Yeah, I'll pull up the interview I was watching last night. And then there's another video, actually, speaking of the Thorpes, that called The Toxic Alliance, when a parent enables a dark triad sibling. So this seems perhaps relevant. Because it's very interesting to understand like how, certain personality disorders and what I perceive to be, diabolical demonic entities operate in the world. I've always been obsessed with understanding like human psychology and just what is the truth about reality, so I consume a lot of content like this, and yeah, so I'm just going to share the content I'd be watching normally and not really get too hung up on it. I'm not relying on this as like a huge source of income, even though it's given me like 4 times I made at the bookstore this month. Like, that was pretty lucky though.
In this video, I want to talk about your sibling having dark triad traits, and with possibly a parent who is very much creating this dynamic and enables this sibling of yours in terms of their dark triad. And so I've worked with different individuals in my practice, as well as part of my community with the holding environment, I call it, or the holding space. And we talk often, and some of my clients have talked about this, usually it's their sibling having dark triad traits. So this is, Machiavellian aspects and having what's considered the dark triad. So, the dark triad represents Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathology. So these types of individuals are strategic, calculated, and often enjoy the harm that they cause. This differs from someone who's merely narcissistic or borderline. Of course, those are difficult individuals to deal with. But when you have a sibling who intentionally does harm and has this, what Dr. Salerno calls intentional cruelty, then it's a different degree. And often what will happen is that the parent, and it could be the mom, is fused with, let's say, a brother, and there's this emotional fusion. So this is to take bone family therapy, and you could call it different terms, like you could call it enmeshment, but essentially the parent and your sibling who has dark triad traits is very much fused as like a dyad with your mom or your father. And then that puts you in a very vicarious situation. Typically, it's many situations where you turn towards your mom or your father when your sibling who has these dark triad traits, so being a sociopath or really being intentional with their cruelty, and you turn towards and ask or seek help from your parent. And it's most likely the case that this happened over time, but then later in life, you see this pattern. And again, perhaps it was more of your subject and it was part of, this notion of like a shared fantasy. So you had ways in which you would probably suppress this aspect in your family or not fully see it. So you might have actually justified it or minimized your siblings' behavior towards you. But then it's likely when there's usually like very much a falling out situation that you start to analyze these experiences from the past and you realize this pattern from a young age. And so, in terms of your sibling, you might see earlier signs when they were younger, having like oppositional defiant disorder, or just very much being
Yeah, I was
like sometimes they're cruel with animals, or there's ways in which they had like this acting out behavior. And there's cruelty that started very young. And it's most likely that the parent has codified or coddled rather this sibling of yours and either spoiled them or neglected them. It's often well, there can be, I guess that's what leads right to narcissism is this over exaggeration from the parent, like in the way in which the parent idolizes the child. And then it can also be very much neglectful parent who neglects the child. But at least the situation anecdotally that I've been coming across in my practice is usually a variety of individuals, but at least the one I'm thinking about is this notion, right, of the sibling that's a brother having sociopathic tendencies or traits. And then the mother in the situation very much coddling and being emotionally fused with that sibling. And the thing is that sometimes people change obviously throughout time.
Yo, I love that. I love when they like have like just the perfect little image that can kind of help you understand it. Overactive, conscious, self-reflection, guilt. It's really important to understand like, the dynamics that can result in these happening. Who is this guy? Could you give us a background? Oh, I don't know any of his background or expertise, but learning about this issue for years, it tracks with what I've learned, but I'm not an expert. Everyone look at I don't know shit. I ain't shit. And I don't know everything about this guy or his background, so take it with a grain of salt. I haven't watched this yet. I just started watching it and I thought it might be interesting. Well, let's see.
And yet, typically, if someone has a narcissistic personality disorder, right, personality disorder, it's most likely was global throughout their
I do
life.
know it.
So
He has some. I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is like because he talked about in his practice. I'm pretty sure he is like a psychologist, or at least.
they're very much were always like this, and it's likely that the masks just started to slip as they got older. But sometimes, people do change too, and so perhaps if like a father dies, then the mom's narcissistic traits come out more, and it perhaps is meaning this sibling of yours, brother, steps up and gets favored by your mom or your father, and then that leads to special treatment and a certain amount of favoritism. And this dyad, though, is something typically that you're not able to really, parse and actually have any influence in, because within a narcissistic family, there's usually right a fusion of self and this undifferentiated collective ego mass. And then the siblings will be most likely aligned with the narcissistic parent and be following the narrative, and the family secrets have been passed, on to.
That is something I've noticed with a lot, like people who do have cluster B. That's one of the things. People who have like that, they're not necessarily like intrinsically evil or anything like that. It's just a lot of it is just a very maladaptive coping mechanism to a lot of trauma. So it's like even when we're watching stuff that's criticizing their behavior, it's like we always need to remember that these are actual human beings. But it is a thing you'll notice where like they really need you to believe that someone is bad and the reason for all their problems. They really need you to believe like their perception of a situation. So they repeat, tweak, repeat, tweak. Like if you observe it for long enough, you'll notice these patterns. And very interesting. Pseudo purity by projecting its own disowned darkness onto a single member.
To them as well. And there's this lack of transparency. And then there's usually a scapegoat. So the siblings will go along with the parent. And then you can have a sibling who has these sociopathic traits, or this dark triad traits, and has this intentional cruelty. So actually gets pleasure from, causing pain to you. And I think often a scenario that occurs is that I'm just thinking of a situation with different clients, but just this notion of having their belongings interfered with. So this can happen in different situations, but essentially a sibling will take your belongings or move your belongings or go through your belongings in the sense that they're entitled to your belongings. So, to someone who's narcissistic, there's, where you begin and where they end, there's no real discernment. Essentially, they feel entitled and superior to you, and perfectly well for them to go through your belongings because if and it's really about control typically, is that if you're not going along with the narrative, they might rescue, like, say, a narcissistic mother, and then because you're having some relationship with likely your mom, then they will triangulate you and get in between that relationship. And maybe because you're not fully conscious of your mom having these
Yes.
traits,
Wait,
you
hold on.
will
This
likely
looks familiar. Yeah. The trigger scapegoat sets a boundary. You'll notice people who are like psycho, sadist, narcissist, they'll like reject the concept of boundaries. Those are their boundaries, which they'll call by like a different name and like just totally obfuscate it until they exhaust their opponent into submission, basically. But boundaries are big trigger. It triggers like a rejection dysphoria, and that can take someone who normally has empathy and can function somewhat like someone who has like borderline personality disorder, but they become a secondary psychopath the second that they become triggered, and there's no moral boundary to what they will do to destroy you the moment they feel that way, because you become an interject in their mind and they become obsessed, diabolically obsessed with hatred and destroying and all that jazz. So yeah. And then the triangulation, mobilizing the cult. I've dealt with this, smear campaigns, lies. Yeah. Good stuff.
be devastated usually because you have a sibling who's harming you, and you turn towards a parent that's supposed to be there for you, and they actually seemingly are part of this alliance. And usually they're very covert though, so they'll give you the perception that they're not taking sides, but you certainly over time pick up this fusion between your sibling that has sociopathic tendencies or traits and with most likely a covert mother or father. And then you're scapegoated in part of this process. And typically there's, a level of flying monkeys and enablers. And so just to go back, it's just this understanding that they might go through your belongings or move your belongings, all in the sense that they're entitled to do that because you're not going along with the family narrative or perhaps going against your parent.
I didn't see the debate. I mean, that's just her being, my perception of it is that it's, she's basically just a mouthpiece to propagate Ben's philosophy, which is really just a bunch of like loosely tangentially related ideas that justify his perversion and sickness in his own life. Yeah, you'd expect someone who's like a long-term groomed abuse victim to struggle with that concept because they don't know how to set boundaries, and they're going to struggle until they kind of figure that out. But they'll misrepresent and be like, that means you have rules for me, and it's like, no, it just means that like if you do this, I don't like this and I'm going to remove myself from the situation. It's that simple. But that becomes unacceptable. Everyone has that. Everyone has a limit on something. Rejecting that conceptually, like it's some big, brave, like bold take, is fucking demented. To be as charitable as possible. JF Kim Ruby show. Yeah, he came on. That was like a little less than a year ago. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had like a good interview. That was a good interview, but I also, and like my mom is like, he's a potential murderer, people. Okay? We already have the psychopath, cat killer, fucking crazy people, like I don't need to keep throwing myself into like interactions with the most deranged people in the world, just because I'm curious or like think that I'll have some influence of positivity, when in actuality it usually just ends up being me having a negative influence. Like yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I forgot which episode it was. I just there was a bunch of things that I like locked down just during like the various court cases and stuff. I think she meant the notion of boundaries are used. Oh, they can. I mean, yeah, they can definitely be used in a very toxic, dumb way. I suppose. But then it's like, yeah, anything can. What is there really to debate about that? Like, I don't know. Mark is streaming you and Lucifer. Oh, I think I saw that he was doing a stream. I mean, it's interesting to look back at how things played out. It was, if I just remove all the, terror that and like pain it caused me and my family over the span of a year and a half, like removing that purely from a content perspective, I get like why people were invested in that 100%. Oh, signal work in reverse where the victimizer sets boundaries after the event, but then prevents the victim from getting any closure by cutting off rebuttal. I think everyone has the right to freedom of association. I'm a strong believer in freedom of association, and that you have a right to not like be subjected to someone in your life. Like this whole like forced interaction is fucking crazy. It's so antisocial. Ruby, you need to collaborate with Raymond. Thoughts in mind. It would be absolute content gold. That sounds familiar, but I'm not sure if I know them.
Going against their agenda, so they feel entitled and justified in, going through your belongings and treating it as though it's their own, or they just really want to mess with you in some sense, and they will use this information maybe in your belongings to spread, like smear your name and to spread rumors. So it's typically these are the siblings who will create the smear.
D-Dog read all my diaries, all my messages, everything. He was someone who would like, there's no such thing as boundaries. Whatever like, he will just run over them over and over and over and over while insulting me and saying, "Oh, I've treated you better than anyone ever." It's like, no, dude. I have random chatters who have treated me a million times better than you have in this entire relationship. Like, fuck off. God bless him, though, because he's another person who I think has some demonic issue, because he's said some very demonic things to me, explicit things about, like, I don't, it's not even something I want to repeat. It's so disgusting.
Your campaign against you and really be intentional with their cruelty. In other videos, I've talked about, Cain and Abel, and how, Cain was very much against Abel and resented him and had this fundamental jealousy. And so in other videos, I've talked about this sibling relationship, but how essentially the parent creates this division and pits the siblings against each other. And then there's typically not a very strong bond between the siblings. And when you have a sibling who also has sociopathic traits or Machiavellian traits, then that puts you obviously in a very difficult situation.
Transparency, like journal reading, is kind of Catholic. I plan on getting, if it's something that everyone consents to, like, honestly, if he had asked, I probably would have said yes. I read my journals on stream. I'm very candid about like my entire life. There's not really one thing in my life that I hide from anyone, like, actually, and that's why I get a lot of judgment, because I put it all out there. But I can live with that freedom of knowing that this is me, take it or leave it, if just the fact that I was asleep, it was like the first night, second night he's over, and I wake up and he's like, "Oh, I just read your entire," and I think because he wanted to see if I was writing about him. Not once. No, he wasn't really up there.
And it comes to a point usually where there's a falling out, and you decide to limit or go no contact with the sibling.
Yeah.
But that typically causes a rift within the family unit, because again, usually in these narcissistic families, there's a lack of transparency, boundaries aren't respected. And then when you differentiate, or you are aligning more with your growth hierarchy versus the dominant hierarchy, and you're starting to differentiate, the parent and the sibling will typically, gaslight you more and scapegoat you more. And that creates some challenges, because if you go partially no contact with the sibling, then that can create like the homeostasis within the family gets disrupted. And because you're making things challenging, and because the family obviously doesn't want to face up to this like truth or any kind of sense of addressing of the emotions within the family unit, then they need.
I'm sorry, people. This is I'll probably just watch the rest of this by myself because I don't know. I don't know if it's really hitting that hard. This is more like maybe a video I'd fall asleep listening to. I mean, it's interesting, and I loved some of the images they used. That's helpful. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the name of this channel. Service. Wait, I remember like this one thing about it, but he made this like really awesome like diagram. Service to self versus service to others. Yes! This is it!
Once the initial rejection trauma is installed, right after birth, it creates an artificial center that sits close to our true center. Our true center is the source of consciousness beyond it all. This artificial center is the primary resistance to the flow of our consciousness, continuously generating strong friction in the form of negative energies. Protective shells form around this core wounding like layers of an inflamed onion, keeping it locked away and hidden.
Like one of the times, like we were going to meet up, and I just didn't want any more of the like internet attention. I wanted to see how we were just on our own. And it's like he makes this point of like taking creepy ass fucking pictures of himself topless to send to Jeremy to make sure everyone knows he's here. It's like I don't even know how that situation is real to me. Like, you should learn human behavior. I think you'd make a great con artist. In a mean way. You're just hoping in. Oh, I'm like, wait, what? I mean, I've always been fascinated by human behavior, you know, so it's something I'm interested in. I would like to, you know, take that knowledge and use it in a productive way or in it like an edifying way, but you know, who knows what the fuck I'm doing out here. But do you guys kind of get this diagram? So like the ultimate existence is, you know, the imitation of Christ, which is to live in a state of pure, unconditional love. Like, that's it. You're with God. Okay. That's where your spirit is. And that's like a difficult level to attain it. Most people are in the middle. They're living in between animality and empathy. They're servicing to themselves and others, but perhaps more towards themselves. And you can move up this and you can move down this. I've moved up and down myself. Does that make sense, people? I don't know if this is
hidden in the unconscious.
weird right now.
This is perfectly described in the myth of Lucifer, the fallen angel who was cast out of heaven and raged against God. It's also dramatically depicted by the French artist Alexandre Cabanel in his famous painting, The Fallen Angel. Notice the sad, vengeful, raging eyes and the arm held protectively in front of his face. This symbolizes the core wounding and the protective layers forming around it. Over time, the artificial center and its protective layers become the default self most people identify with. This is causing a deep-seated and usually unconscious or semi-conscious sense of being unworthy of love, happiness, and existence itself. At some point early on, as a choice is made as in how we handle this setup, this choice most likely comes from the soul level. Either way, it determines whether you will be oriented towards service to self or service to others, to put it in law of one terms. The service to self choice is to completely seal off the whole pain body and lock it away in the unconscious as if it does not exist. This is how so-called narcissists are created. They are simply service to self-oriented people. The downside of this strategy is that it also completely cuts you off from your true center, which is the source of consciousness, love, and inner validation.
And that's the tragedy that
service,
you know, something happens like in a narcissist's life very early on that utterly shatters their sense of self, you know, and they lose access to positive emotion. That's why you get people who are sadists, because they don't care. They can't really do love or like positive emotions. They'll literally just not even understand it conceptually, you know, but they can do arousal, whether it's fear, power. Oops, I just like put Ash in my head. It's like Ash Friday or Wednesday or whatever. Sorry. I just got distracted by the ash on my forehead, but whatever.
To self, people therefore
Also, I
desperately
do. I'm gonna sign off in like, I don't know, like 20 minutes or so, and I'm gonna go to my first AA meeting. And like, I mean, I think the last one I went to was maybe like 6 months ago or something. Like, I would go randomly, but since I was still smoking weed, I know and still drinking, like we're really pushing this whole like the limits of Cali sober, and I didn't want to be like a negative influence on anyone or like, I don't know. But at the same time, even when you're in use, and they do encourage, like you can be drunk and show up at a meeting and you'll get that support, because sometimes that's the only way out, is for someone to meet you where you're at and like help you get through to the other side of it, you know? Yes, bitch. Yeah, there's a meeting at like 5 I want to go to. So hopefully it's a good meeting. It's always hit or miss. I've gone to meetings where like once I went to a meeting in West Haven and I walked in and I was having a rough one. It was a rough one for Ruby. It was like not too long after my brother had died, you know, and I was, you know, that was, you know, indescribably unfortunate. And I went to this meeting and it was just like 5 like old dudes. And like, since it was so little people, I just wanted to kind of go and hang back and like dip my toe back in the water, you know? But it was a very small meeting. There's only a couple guys there. And I felt I stood out like crazy, just being like this young freakazoid bitch at the time. So they like were making everyone share. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to share. So I would just like started sobbing and like it was just weird. It was weird. It was a weird time. I've had many weird times in my life. And another time went to a Codependence Anonymous meeting because my friend wanted to go. I never felt like super codependent. But she wanted to go to it, and it was just us and 2 other people. And I swear on my life, they did an open discussion part where it was 20 minutes of silence. Just 4 strangers sitting in silence. I never went back, but it was for my friend anyways.
They need validation from others, and they use gaslighting, manipulation, and control to get it. They automatically frame people as below them to compensate for their deep-seated and unconscious sense of inferiority and unworthiness. This is their negative core drive and intention. For this purpose, they seek out empaths whom they manipulate and control for narcissistic supply. They get well-meaning but naive people under their spell and keep them as narcissistic supply until they are drained dry and completely broken by the abuse. Then they discard them and move on to the next one. The narcissist is basically trying to turn whoever is under their spell into everything they themselves repress and project. In other words, the drive of the narcissist is to turn people into a representation of their own repressed shadow. This way they can blame and discard the victim to avoid facing their own pain and trauma. The narcissists also protect themselves with a core belief of being perfect. This core belief of being perfect is almost as primary as the split off from source, which is why narcissism is so hard to get rid of. The problem is that this delusional belief is directly tied to the innermost core wounding they want to keep buried and hidden at all costs. This is why the narcissist's sense of self is so inflated and fragile at the same time. By keeping their pain body hermetically sealed, the narcissist is split in 2. The conscious persona can be charming and nice. However, they can flip into the unconscious trauma-based alter ego at any time and become abusive. Mm-hmm. Their avoidance of inner suffering forces them up in their heads, living in the superficial, abstract, and relativistic mental plane. This is the domain of the voice beings of the collective shadow. with no connection or validation from source or the higher mind available.
I think this video was the first time I heard someone like speak in terms of like the collective shadow, because I was, you know, reading a lot about Carl Jung and like your, you know, individual shadow, your shadow, Freud, unconscious, all of that. And then like thinking about the collective shadow and what's going on broadly across, like, and like I said, this like pull towards the spectrums and clustering on the ends of good and evil that I feel like I'm observing. And something is happening, you know, the collective consciousness, you know, there's our collective awareness and soul and God and all being one, you know, that's very real. And then there's the hell side of that, the collective shadow. I find this language to be useful to understand things that are hard to understand. Like, it was hard for me to understand why people would act in ways that were so, and like, just not even advancing themselves. Like, it didn't even make sense from like a selfish standpoint. You have to understand what's actually fundamentally going on, you know, and still also have like empathy and see the humanity that, and it's, I still struggle to understand how it's fair that like, if you get fucked at a young age and like, okay, and then you're evil and super fucked and go to hell, it seems like a rough deal, you know, if you're taking over at such a young age and you just never really got that fair shake at life, you know. That's brutal.
Available, the narcissist is easily deluded by the voice beings of the collective shadow. The voice beings will feed the narcissist grandiose ideas about themselves, inflate their sense of self-importance, and basically hypnotize them deeper and deeper into such delusions. This is how the collective shadow recruits people to become its agents. The voice beings of the collective shadow also help narcissists weaponize their projections while feeding off the negative energies being generated by their abuse. Since the narcissist's pain body shadow is completely repressed, they project it all onto other people as if it is their birthright. The mask persona is not really aware of what the trauma-based shadow side says and does, which makes them confusing to deal with. This flip-flop between the charming mask persona and the abusive trauma-based alter ego is also seen in many serial killers like Ted Bundy and Ed Kemper.
I felt the fuck out of myself.
The expression of the narcissistic coping strategy is obviously refined up the scale of consciousness. It's usually no longer abusive in the 400s. However, the constant need to be seen and validated for being, quote, great is still present at that level. The narcissist's whole fragile identity is built on comparison to others, which is why they must keep people under their spell to secure the supply they crave. Those who choose to be in touch with the existential suffering will typically feel victimized by it, not least since none of this is common knowledge. However, those who choose the honesty of admitting the pain to themselves, even if it's on a semi-conscious level, will remain somewhat in contact with their true center beyond the pain. The connection may be weak and distorted as you start at the lower end of the scale of consciousness, but at least you are not completely cut off from the source of consciousness, love, and inner validation. This is how service to others-oriented people are created, refining their suffering, victimhood, and self-pity into deep compassion as they grow in consciousness and move up the scale. The world is a mix of service to self and service to others oriented people, as well as a large bulk of undecided people. The undecided people still have tendency towards one or the other, but they have yet to start working in either direction in any meaningful way. They are what is known as NPCs until they start polarizing towards service to self or service to others. On a global scale, this has been going on for all of history. A narcissistic and psychopathic ruling class serving the collective shadow versus a victimized public under their spell and control. The collective shadow has been the organizing principle for the whole planet throughout all of history. This is why everything has been upside down in this world. The collective shadow can only...
All right. I found that that video to be very interesting. I've already watched it, but I wanted to share some of that. just in case anyone else would find it interesting to learn about. I had like some other like random things I wanted to look at, like lolcow pit and like stuff like that. Maybe I'll do that later, but I'm going to take a little break-a-rooney so I can chillax before I go to my meeting, and I will report back. I'll let you guys know how it goes. And yeah, thank you for tuning into this like really intense stream at points. Can you post those just yeah. See, I'm glad someone is appreciating it, you know, because it even can help you empathize, but it helps you understand like the American government, Donald Trump, how these people operate, and all this kind of like satanic sick influence, and how they're really serving demonic entities. And like this guy, his channel is like secular, so obviously I'm not going to line up with him like on all the beliefs, but I do find secular language to be helpful because a lot of people are secular, you know, and it just sounds crazy to talk about demons. And then also it's a bit, I shouldn't try to be labeling or judging anyone really, you know? So I don't know. That's where I'm at. But yeah, I'll post those vids in the Discord. I thought they're pretty cool. Yeah. All right. I will see you guys later.